I am finally ready to admit defeat. 2001, we've talked about this a couple weeks ago. In 2001, Cordell Stewart was the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. Many of you, there's so much. No. And they were 15-1, and there was no way that they were going to lose. I mean, they were a machine. And then as their defense, I believe it was their defense, that actually hurt Drew Bledsoe, which I was super excited about. Like, not in a I'm glad he's hurt, but just in a I'm glad he's hurt kind of way. And so they brought in this kid from Michigan, and I'm a Michigan fan, and I absolutely hated this guy when he played for Michigan. I did. And I was like, oh, this is the greatest. This is the most wonderful thing that could have happened. I was really worried about the Patriots beating the Steelers. Now I know it's not going to happen because Tom Brady is here. And we all know what happened. We all know the story. Is that he won, and he just kept winning, and he just kept winning. And many of you are super happy about that. And for those of us who are spiritually right, we had to deal with some things, some persecution and whatnot. But I want to say something good about Tom Brady, just very briefly. In the sports world, one of the things that he had that was super important, and he regularly had it, and I couldn't stand it, because I wanted him to just talk smack so I could hate him more. But he almost always had this immense amount of humility, where he just said, you know what, it's really not about me, it's about my team. And then he'd go out there and make it about him by throwing 18 touchdowns and destroying the other team. And I'd be like, what is happening? But I want to tell you this, that every time that I decide to bring into my own life humility, it's better. That humility brings me back to what matters. When I say I am right about this, this is the way, this is the only way that is going to happen, this is the way it's going to be successful, I am totally right. And when I pull back and go, you know what, I'd like to hear other opinions on this. You know what, maybe I'm not so right as I thought. You know what, maybe I'm just going to let God work in my life on this fact. And what I find is that humility, regularly, over and over and over, brings me back. Just like Tom Brady would say, you know what, it's not about me, it's about my team. In the midst of our successes, a lot of times the thing we don't want to do is be humble. When we're at the top of the world, at graduation, at that promotion, when we're making that money, when things are going well, we don't want to be humble. I mean, you can go anywhere from Hollywood to church for examples of this. From your workplace to your school. Examples of a time when either you or someone else lashed out in their pride, lashed out and this is the way it has to be, lashed out and there is nothing more important than what I'm saying and I'm right and blah, 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 blah. And humility always brings us back to what matters. Now, so cute. It's just ridiculous. I know, here's the problem. I know she's going to command all the attention when she moves. There is 100% chance of that, so I might as well just stop talking about whatever I'm talking. Okay, we're good? Okay. Just so cute. Okay. Okay. We all love when the things that we're doing are successful. Right? Nobody wants to be a part of a sinking ship. Right? We all love when Chaffin Church has lots of people and there are things going on and people singing. We have a baptistue coming up, and when people are getting baptized and ministry is happening and serving, we love it when all the things. We love that. But if we want to be a people who are called to be the way Jesus wanted us to be, And make no mistake, that could look very different than most pastors and churches show. If we want to be the kind of people that we're called to be, a dynasty that lasts, we must stay humble. We have to stay humble, focusing on God's glory. In fact, I almost say it this way, and you'll understand what this means a little later on, that we could say a lot of things like, look at me, look at me. I mean, for years, I would play basketball back before I would get hurt all the time. And you put the hoop in, and then what do you do? Okay, maybe it was just me. But you would like, look at me. Look at what I did. But if that's the way we do. But here's the thing. Who am I is always better than look at me. Who am I is always better than look at me. I mean, think about this. When you get into a conversation, what do? Well, what's your name? What's your name? That's not true. You're not a big red dog. You are big. That is your middle name? Oh, all right. What do you do? Yeah. I'm in manufacturing. You're manufacturing. But that's what people ask. People ask that regularly, right? Like, what do you do? What's your name? What do you do? Right? As if what you do is somehow tied in to who you are and your worth. This week I was playing pickleball. And I got beat pretty bad. And my pickleball partner was pretty good. And I'm not saying this because he's actually better than me. But he messed up a lot. And we lost because of that. I'm not saying look at me. I'm not saying that. Listen. He messed up a lot.
Yeah, I heard the real story.
Yeah, I'm not interested in your real stories. Never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. I'm not making that joke. So there's even jokes that it's too much for me, apparently. So afterwards, we got together and we were talking. He was very nice. He was like, "Oh, what's your name?" And I said my name. He said his name. And I knew what the next question was, and I know it's a conversation ender. I know it's over after this. But on the court, what was interesting, he must have said the F word 58 times. And I'm like, I'm not offended. I'm like, I get it. You're playing that bad. It's true. Like, it's I understand. And so then he asked me what I did. And I'm like, oh, boy. I'm a pastor. Instantly, his smile, because he remembered those 58 times, by the way, his smile went away. And he's like, I'm so sorry about my language. Like, that's okay. Never mind, I'm not going to make that joke either. Like, but this is the thing. He went immediately to what do you do? And what if we got to a place when we said something like this, from my perspective? I'm Marty. I'm just trying to figure out who I am. That's the best thing that I could give you. Sure, I might have a title. Sure, I might have something that I've done in the past. But as somebody who's trying to learn and grow in this thing called life, what if I just said, I'm Marty? And honestly, I haven't figured out. So I'm always asking this question, who am I? And there's a price to success. In any church that's been successful, what happens is they add rules to that to shelter that success. And those rules lay down a path to pride. And so we've been talking a lot about David. He was a shepherd boy. He became a general. He became an outlaw. He became a king. We talked in the first week of this series, we said, our goal, like David's goal, is to know the king and to lead people to him. That's our goal. Know the king, lead people to him. And if we can get that down, we can figure this out together. Know our King, lead people to him. And then we talked last week about this. There are no small parts when it comes to God's heart. That you and I, we know we have a part to play in what God wants us to do, not just in this building, but outside of this building. At the end of his life, David was a king for 40 years. This is so beautiful. David was a king for 40 years. And at the end of his life, he got this idea. I'm going to build a temple to God. Great idea. Like I'm gonna make it beautiful. Because he had all this power. He had amassed all this wealth. He had the nation of Israel behind him. He had all this thing going. So he goes, I'm going to build a temple to God. And so he goes to this prophet, and he says, prophet, I have a great idea. I'm going to build a temple to God. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to show how awesome God is. It's going to be great. And the prophet says, great idea, except it can't be you. Now, David had been a successful king, outlaw, general. I mean, he was good. He was good. Whatever he did, God blessed him, like many of you. He had all this stuff going on. And so this prophet of God, who probably made very little money, who didn't have wealth, who didn't have connection, all of a sudden this prophet said, it's not up to you. God says he wants your son to do it. You see, David, you're a man of war. You're a man of bloodshed. You're a man of battle. We're going to give this responsibility to your son. And so David, who could have responded any way at all, the way successful people do, you don't tell me what to do. You don't give me the rules. I'm the king. That's what his predecessor Saul did, if you recall our week 1. He could have responded anyway, but instead he said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. If it's okay with you, I'm going to put together all of the equipment, all of the stuff, all of the wood, all of the construction materials, everything we need. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put it together for my son. And if it's okay, I'm going to dedicate this thing to my God. That's how passionate I am about this. And so he did that. And at the dedication, here's what he said. A king who was in charge of everything and then some. This king said this, David praised the Lord in the presence of the whole assembly, saying, praise be to you, Lord, this king said, the God of our father Israel, from everlasting to everlasting. I love these lines. Yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor. For everything in heaven and earth is yours. Yours, Lord, is the kingdom. You, not me, the king, you are exalted as head over all. Wealth and honor, it comes from you. The king said this. One of the richest men in the world at the time. You are the ruler of all things. In your hands are strength and power to exalt, and you give strength to all. So now, our God, we give you thanks, and we praise your glorious name. And here's what the king says. But who am I? And who are my people that we should be able to give as generously as this? And here's why. Because everything comes from you. And we have given you only what comes from your hand. And David, at the end of his life, he could have said, look at me. Look at what I've done. Look at the stuff I got. And instead, he chose to posture and he said, who am I? Who am I, God? Because everything comes from you, is distributed by you, everything belongs to you. It's not mine, it's yours. And what areas of your life are you saying, look at me? David was a king. He had all the power in the world. But he was also, and this is important, he was also a leader. Jesus was an even better leader. I'm making some assumptions. I think they're fair. He was an even better leader. And he told his disciples, he told his followers, he told you and I want you to lead. And here's how I want you to lead. I want you to lead by doing everything I've commanded, then teaching those things to everyone who comes behind you. Now, here's the problem with leadership. As I said earlier, we all have problems with leadership. Either you have problems with authority. If you do, raise your hand. Let's just be honest. I do. Yeah. All right. About a third of us are honest. Awesome. Yeah, come on. But many of us have been hurt by authority. We've been hurt by leaders. I have. Right? But I do want to say this. And this is what I'm learning through my own healing process. Just because someone hurt you doesn't mean you're not called to lead in the right ways. Just because someone hurt you doesn't mean you're not called to lead. In fact, when I say in the right ways, I mean lead with love. Lead with humility. So, real quick, this is a true story. This whole message was written except for this part, and these 4 things came to my mind at 2:30 in the morning last night, right around the time I checkmated Dave Kane in chess.com. And I was like, boom. I woke up and I had these thoughts because it's so difficult to learn to lead with love. What we usually do is we're like, I don't want to lead anymore. I don't want to be a part of the manipulation. And so we don't lead. I got news for you. Somebody is leading. Somebody's going to take that mantle. So why wouldn't it be someone who decides, I follow Jesus and I'm leading with love. I'm doing this thing the way it is supposed to be done. And so here are 4 L's. I know L's are not cool in brain rot. Jackson, come on, this is cool. Just work with me here. One of my favorite songs right now is called No L's by Forrest Frank. But I disagree with him in this one. 4 L's to help you lead with love. Here's the first one. The first 2 are obvious, and we all know it, and everybody knows it. Listen. Now, we don't all do this, right? Some of you sleeping now, you know what I'm saying? I didn't mean to call anybody out if that's you. Listen, right? Before you lead, it is important to listen. When I came here, I didn't just make change. It feels like it, right? I didn't make changes overnight. I waited and I listened for 6-7 months, which felt like an eternity to me. If you know me, I was ready to go. But you listen. God, help me to listen. Right? That's the first thing. Because everybody has feelings. Everybody has opinions. And I can just say, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. No, listen. Here's another one. Learn. This is something I so appreciate about Carrie and the way she teaches Spanish, is that she's constantly learning to get better. Right? I am, except for some reason she doesn't listen to my thoughts on the topic. That's weird. Anyways, but she constantly is trying to get better. And if you are trying to lead with love, and many of you high school graduates, you're leaders, right? You're leaders. And what you have to do is you got to keep learning. The brain rot phase is not the final phase. Praise God. You know what I'm saying? Here's another one. Link. Link. Here's what I mean by this. If nobody is connected with you, you're not leading anyone anywhere. Churches everywhere, including ours, if we're not thinking about connecting with other people, connecting with other churches, connecting with other organizations, then we're just doing our own thing, living our own way, right? We're not linked to anybody. If you spend 99% of your, now, there are some people that have no choice, right? But you spend 99% of your time away from your job or away from your responsibilities at home, and you don't link up with anyone, that's an issue, right? You're not leading anyone. You're just doing your own thing. That L is called lazy. Remember, I'm talking to churches here, the church. That L is called lazy, right? And I got news for you. It's easy as New Englandites to get lazy because it gets cold. And you're like, oh, it's 15 weeks in a row that it's raining on a Saturday. I think I'll stay in, right? We have to link up with people. A few months ago, I was given what I consider personally a passionate, I was asking God, what drives me? And here's what came to my mind. That every person in the world needs a close friend who loves Jesus. That simple truth drives me. Because that takes it away from the organizational church that changes the world. What that does is every single one of us can be a close friend to people who are hurting and going through some crud. You know what I mean? So we can stay into our house, do our own thing, or we can get out and we connect with people and we build bridges and we can be a close friend to them. Why? Because people need people who love Jesus the right way. The world does. I'm telling you, this is probably a shock, but the world and its leadership is in a mess. I know. Shocking you. Do you think our Sunday morning services are changing anything out there? Now, I think they're amazing. I love being here with you. But if it stays here and we do nothing for the rest of the week, it's over for Christianity. Every person needs a close friend who loves Jesus. But then there's another L, and it's super important, and that's lift. Lift. You see, sometimes when you get comfortable with people, you move to a place where everything's miserable. Debbie Downer, Saturday Night Live. Anybody? So good. So good. Oh, how's it going? Miserable, right? And it doesn't mean that, once again, it doesn't mean that there aren't things that are going wrong, that you don't share those things. But if misery is your default mode, then you got to lead a different way. You're not leading in love, right? So we have to encourage people. Man, Bridge, you look good today. Look at how sharp you look. I mean, he does look good, right? You're the man. You're making it happen for Jesus at your workplace. I love that. You're going through things. You've seen things in your world that I couldn't imagine. I couldn't even imagine seeing. And you've come out of that. Roberto, you come out of that, and you're crushing it. And your attitude is so positive. Man, I wish I could be like you. Right? Now, Bridge, ask me how I'm doing. All right, Mom. It rained yesterday. I was in the soccer field. Rained 3 of the 4 games I was in. My life's rough here in Holden, Massachusetts. You know where I'm going with that, guys? Come on. Graduates, I want to say this. As I've given you the 4 else, because I believe each and every one of you, and that's for everybody, I believe all of us can learn to lead with love, and we need to. But graduates, I've never said this. I hope you say and know that you are the future of the church. And when I say the future, I mean get into it now and start changing it. Not in a disrespectful jerk mode way, but find people that you connect with and say, I think this can be changed. I think this can be salvaged. I think God can do something great here. Despite the fact that I don't agree with everything, I don't know. This seems like a great community. I think the good news is happening here. And in the end, my prayer is that doing that, you would say, who am I, God? That you would allow me to participate in change. I remember when I first started in ministry, I moved from Atlanta. I was early 20s, and I met Al. And Al was a part of a group of college students. This was on Bullard Street, which is just like a mile and a half from here. He was a part of a group of college students who would come from Boston every week, from Milton. And he would just serve. And so I met him, and so it got to be at the point on Saturday nights a lot of times, him and a couple of his friends, and then me and another friend of ours named Ruben, we would clean the toilets together. We would vacuum the church. That's how we got involved in, like, we were like, I don't know, how can we help? You vacuum. That's what we did, right? And then what happened is over time, we were given other responsibilities. And in the end, it's so very important, no matter where your life takes you, it's so very important that you would say, who am I? Not look at me. Oh, look at how successful I am. Whoop, whoop. We're making it happen. No. Who am I is always better than look at me. And there's an answer to that question. God, who am I? Oh, yeah. I'm yours.